Morning, all. All right, so as development camps are wrapping up around the National Hockey League and we see the scrimmage games, which are always fun, there is still some signing news to discuss, and we'll discuss which teams also are looking at needing cap space and those that have tons of cap space. One team that has a ton of cap space but is now above the salary cap floor, San Jose. They claimed Nick Leddy from the Blues. That was the expectation yesterday when he hit the free agent or the waiver wire, was that San Jose would pick him up. Orlov has signed a 2-year deal with San Jose. That contract carries a cap hit of $6.5 million. He had a tough year in Carolina, agreed, but Orlov's 33 years of age, and there's the chance he gets his game back in San Jose. And if he doesn't, he can still mentor the young kids in San Jose pretty well too. So I like the moves by San Jose. They are now above the cap floor. They're not in any kind of cap trouble of any sort, of course, but at least they're above the floor. So that whole discussion of what if a team doesn't hit the cap floor is gone for now. Brent Burns has signed a 1-year deal with Colorado. It carries a cap hit of $1 million. There's bonuses built into that as well, and so he could earn a lot more money than that. That money, of course, the bonuses get tacked onto next year's salary cap. Brent Burns is a pretty good pickup, I think, for Colorado. He's going to play a lower profile role in Colorado than what he did in Carolina. He is all offense at this point. The defense has never been great with Burns anyways, but at this point in time, I think on a $1 million contract, there's zero risk. If you're the Colorado Avalanche, it's a good move. So in light of Nick Leddy being gone from the Blues, one of the reasons that general manager Doug Armstrong gives is that Jim Montgomery is a big fan of Tyler Tucker's game. And belief in Tyler Tucker means that Leddy becomes a little bit more expendable. And so we'll see how much more Tucker gets to play this coming season. But when your coach is a fan of yours, that bodes well. So with the additional depth down the middle for St. Louis as well, the way that Doug Armstrong sees this is that the center depth means that if Dvorsky makes the team out of camp, and Dalibor Dvorsky is considered to be a really strong prospect for St. Louis, that he can play on the wing. He won't have that pressure of playing center. We've seen a lot of prospects come into the NHL, and if they play at center, it can be tough. They can get overpowered on faceoffs, and you're running a line. Sometimes the younger players, it doesn't work as well. So in some cases, it works better if you try them on the wing first. You give them maybe a full season on the wing and then transition them to center for the second year. Sometimes they spend the first couple of years on the wing and then transition in the third year to center. But either way, it's easier to start on the wing than it is to start running a line down the middle. So I think this is a smart move all around by St. Louis, and we'll see how things turn out in the fall. With the moves that have been made, it leaves Anaheim as the only team that's currently below the salary cap floor. One thing to keep in mind with Anaheim, though, is that the Ducks have both McTavish and Dostal to sign. So San Jose's above the floor, Anaheim below the floor, and so there you go, two California teams that are not spending a ton, and the Kings don't show up either in this part of the board where I'm talking about who has money left. There is no money left for Florida and Dallas. They're both over the salary cap. Vegas and Montreal are also above the salary cap. However, LTIR is going to bail both of them out. Pietrangelo, of course, for Vegas, and Carey Price for Montreal. The teams within $1 million of the salary cap ceiling are Edmonton, St. Louis, although not above the cap, thanks to that claim by San Jose, Vancouver, and the New York Rangers. So Vancouver and the Rangers both seem to be betting on themselves to bounce back from last season and get back above the playoff line. We'll see if they're accurate on that or not. The Tampa Bay Lightning are within $2 million of the salary cap ceiling. So not as many, it doesn't feel like anyways as last year. I know I did this kind of thing last year and that almost everybody had no cap space by this point in July. And then there's a lot of teams with more than $10 million in cap space. Now some of these teams are going to have players to sign. In fact, the Canes are still seen as the most likely landing spot for Ehlers, although the longer this goes on, who knows. But teams with more than $10 million in cap space, the Nashville Predators, the Minnesota Wild, the Utah Mammoth also, the Detroit Red Wings, Seattle Kraken, Buffalo Sabres, Calgary Flames, Pittsburgh Penguins, Carolina Hurricanes, Winnipeg Jets, Columbus Blue Jackets, and Chicago Blackhawks, on top of course, Anaheim and San Jose, who still have the most cap space of anybody in the league, but the Chicago Blackhawks have a ton. Columbus still has a ton as well, so It will be interesting to see how the rest of this summer plays out, and if multiple teams have that kind of cap space. I hope so. Honestly, I hope we see a lot of teams with a bunch of cap space going into this season. I just think it's smart to do it that way. There are definitely teams that give out contracts to veterans that we kind of look and go, but you have this young guy in the lineup. And in reality, if they play the young guy rather than that veteran to bring in, they might save millions in cap space. And you can weaponize that later in the season. So we'll see what happens. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.